All right, and we're live. Second episode of the FiberCast Podcast. Welcome everybody who's on the live right now. Today's guest is Rodrigo Alves, native from Newark.
From Newark, yeah.
Were you born and raised?
Born in Brazil, man.
Born in
Born
Brazil?
but
Where in Brazil?
Minas Poços.
Minas Gerais.
Shout out, Poços Caldas.
All the people from Minas Gerais watching. Shout out.
out.
Big shout out. Yeah. So, what made you accept my invitation to be on this podcast?
Well, man, you're always a friend to me, and I gotta support people coming up from Newark, man. I gotta support you. You from Newark, we went to Ann Street together. I gotta support you. I gotta support my friend Edgar. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Edgar.
Yeah.
Edgar's gonna be on future episode.
Yep.
Get that down. Get that down.
Watch that podcast. He's one of my best friends, and
he's grinding like crazy right now.
If you don't support the people you grew up with, who is? You know what I mean?
No,
you gotta
for
get
sure.
their name out there.
Home base, no, for sure. And just like I told Rodrigo before, I'll try to look at all these cameras at the same time. But what I was trying to tell him before is this podcast is gonna serve as a platform for me to. It's more of a selfish thing. It's it gives me an excuse to reach out to people, right? People that I wouldn't reach out otherwise. And nowadays with social media and all this technology, all this bullshit, how many times during this week have you sat down with somebody and just spoken for over an hour?
Yeah, man, you don't
Just
get
talk.
that a lot. You
Just
don't get
talk.
that a lot. You don't at
You don't
work.
have that communication anymore, that
Nope.
contact and actually legitimately phones away, no distractions. And this is actually good because it kind of forces us to pay attention, right? So it's not constantly on the phone or whatever. But to all Rodrigo's followers, if you're interested on being on a future podcast, let me know.
Yeah, man, please.
Because this is for outliers by outliers. And the slogan is everyone is an outlier in their own right. And everybody has a story worth telling. So
yeah, man. It's gonna be a really cool, cool
Concept.
idea. I never heard of this really. I mean, I heard of a famous podcasters, but from Newark, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we get to
yeah.
interview all
New
these
Jersey
people
and stuff.
and we got all these great minds, but we just gotta get
all
them
we
out
need
there.
is a platform. And people, just like I told you on the way over here, it's people think you have to be famous or you have to be a famous athlete, an actor to have a voice, right? And to be able to actually voice your opinion. And I want to kind of break that status quo where I want to just offer people a way or a place to come on and just bullshit and just talk about literally anything.
Yep.
If you want to start talking about water, we could start talking about water
Yeah,
bottles.
there's no script. Guys, there's no
Not
script
scripted.
over here.
Not
So
scripted. I don't have anything in my hands right now. And we got
yep.
8 people on live right now.
Nice.
And that's kind of impressive because it's 11:15
Hey,
right now.
man, everybody's on their phone now.
It took us 1 hour to get this set up. But
all right.
all right, so let's go back to what we were talking about before we started the live thing. What defines an outlier? What is, in your book, a person, what makes a person be an outlier? In your opinion, obviously.
To become an outlier, you gotta put work in private. You don't have to advertise everything. You know what I mean? Champions are made in the underground. Champions are made when you're doing all the work by yourself. You know what I mean?
Without
You're putting
worrying about
hours
the
in that
credit.
no one sees. No one sees all the work that you're putting in. You don't got no credit, but you're doing it for yourself, and you know it's going to be an investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Everything is an investment in yourself if you think about it.
For sure.
I train every day. I train jiu-jitsu every day, right? But there's people out there training 2 times a day, 3 times a day, but you don't know that. You know what I mean? You only see them at the big stage, and I mean that's where effort comes to play. You know what I mean? The big stage.
And then people are quick to judge because all they see is the person when they're on stage, when they're doing that game-winning shot.
Yeah.
And people don't really realize that before you make that game-winning shot, you missed 1,000 shots before.
You missed plenty
but
of shots.
nobody saw that shit.
No one saw it.
Right? So for example, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, you look at them and you're like, oh, that guy, he was obviously born like that. That's
Yeah.
genetics. You always try to justify the fact that you're insecure or that you're not willing to put in the effort that person put. So you try to justify it with other shit. So
Yeah.
you're always he was born with money. He was this, he was that. That's why he's successful. So it's but people are just, yeah. So people are, incapable of doing it themselves. So they try to talk mad shit.
Like everybody says, "Oh, I wish I was like that guy. I wish I was like Kobe Bryant."
Yeah,
But you know what I mean? You don't.
Yeah.
You kind of wish you were like Kobe Bryant when he makes a last second shot. But what about when he's by himself at 3 a.m. shooting 1,000 shots?
And
You know what I mean?
say that you want to be like Kobe Bryant while you're on your sofa eating Doritos.
Wow, he's
watching
putting
Netflix.
in work. Kobe Bryant's putting in work. You could be better than Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
You gotta put the same amount of work as him, or even more.
And like, all right, so since you have this competitor mindset, right? Because you compete, you do jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes, sir.
What color belt are you again?
I'm a blue belt.
Blue belt. What made you get into jiu-jitsu though? Like, what drove you like down that path? Because like a person that gets into jiu-jitsu, I would imagine is a person that's, you know, like has to be focused, dedicated, especially if you want to like build up and grow within the hierarchy of the system, right? Just like you have. So you're a blue belt. You've obviously gained it. You've earned it through hard work, consistency, just like you said before. So like, what made you attach yourself to that?
Well, man. All right. So in jiu-jitsu, I never really knew much about jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I always knew about the UFC, mixed martial arts, but I never knew what jiu-jitsu was.
Okay.
And it was one day, one of my friends, Lewis, and I thank him every day for it. Like I don't thank him in person, but he should know that I thank him every day.
Shout out to him right now.
Yeah, shout out to
Yo,
Lewis for
shout
bringing
out.
me. Yeah. He introduced jiu-jitsu to me one day. He's always been my best friend, and he saw I was sad one day, and he told me, look, just come train. You know what I mean? You don't gotta pay anything. You don't gotta do anything. All you gotta do is just step on the mats.
Show up.
Yeah, you don't like. I didn't know anything. I had no clue what jiu-jitsu was. I just stepped on the mats and went with the flow. You know what I mean?
And then you fell in love with it.
Dude, I fell in love with it the first day. As soon as I stepped on the mats, I already knew I fell in love with it because it's not only it. I don't even do it just because it's jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I do it because it's a family. Like our professor made it such a family
community, a tribe feeling, a tribe sense.
It's really a family for us. You know what I mean? So it's hard not to be there.
You got it, because it doesn't feel like you're training. It feels like you're just playing your role in that family.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm not even doing it for myself. I'm doing it for all my teammates, for my professor. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make them better, and while I'm making them better, I'm making myself better at the same time.
For sure. And like, if you were to say like what things have you learned from jiu-jitsu? From like, how long have you been practicing jiu-jitsu?
It's going to be 3 years next month.
3 years.
3 years.
So during these 3 years, what value have you obtained via jiu-jitsu that you apply to your day-to-day life, or that people watching this right now can, you know, use in their day-to-day lives?
So one thing jiu-jitsu does, and maybe every single martial arts I think does, is it humbles you. It humbles you. So you don't really know what the other person knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can look at somebody in the street and say, "Wow, he might know something I might not know," and that comes not even just for martial arts. That comes for everything. Everybody has their own specific talent. I could look at someone in the streets and not know he's a tattoo artist, and he's a really good artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That he's a really good painter.
Yeah.
You can look at someone. He's really good at math. You know what I mean? He's really good at English. He's an English teacher.
You learn not to underestimate people.
Yeah,
and
you
not
don't
to
know what
judge
anybody
before
knows.
you
If you look at me, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what I do. You don't know what people go through. You know what I mean? So it humbles you. You want to get to know the people before you judge them.
No, for sure. And like, from an outsider standpoint, like, because I've never practiced jiu-jitsu. I did karate once when I was like 9, but it was, you know, it's not anything too serious. But from an outsider standpoint, like, looking at it, the main takeaway that I see is that, just like you said, like, it doesn't matter how big you are or how strong you are, because when you're rolling on the mat, it's mainly about like strategy, right?
It's technique.
Technique.
It's all
Yeah.
technique.
So
I don't care how big
you could be
are.
the biggest guy in the room, and you'll probably get your ass kicked if you're rolling with a guy that's like half your size.
You will.
And another takeaway is like, I think I heard this from Joe Rogan. So shout out Joe Rogan. I don't know if he's watching. He's probably not watching this right now.
I hope he's watching.
But essentially, like, he said that in jiu-jitsu, when you're caught in a very tight spot, that can be associated to life as well, because in those tight spots, the slightest chance you see, you go for it. And that small opportunity, that small slip, can change the whole outcome of the whole fight. Is that correct?
Oh, I'm muted. I'm sorry. Well,
Yeah.
that's for everything in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be afraid of failure.
No,
if
for
you,
sure.
if you want to succeed, you can't be afraid of failure. And in jiu-jitsu, if you're losing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You lost already if you think you're losing. You never know how a fight's gonna be. Like I
You
just
don't
can't-
even start.
Yeah.
If you go into it with that mindset and that mentality, then you're too, scared to even do
I
shit.
just came back from the biggest tournament in California, Worlds, and I saw some young kid my age that he won double gold, which is gold in his division and the absolute division, which is every single weight class. And that kid
Yeah.
was losing his semifinal. He was losing his semifinal, and he still came back. He came back because he believed. You know what I mean?
Believe in himself.
Yeah, he didn't think he lost. Everybody in the crowd thought he lost already. The guy was a lot bigger. Everybody assumed that the guy was a lot bigger. He has dominant position. No one knew he was planning the comeback already. You know what I mean? He already saw the comeback in his mind, and that was awesome to see.
I bet you that, like, for example, like that also allows me to segue into like how important it is for you to kind of filter out all of the unnecessary noise, right? So like, just like you said, if he believed that he had lost before he even tried, he wouldn't have even, he would even have
You beat
gotten out of
yourself.
his bed
You
in the
beat
morning, right?
yourself. Like if I
Yeah.
were to step onto the mats and I'm like, oh, this guy's a lot bigger than me, he
Yeah.
might win. I already lost.
Yeah.
I already lost in my mind.
And it's just so much noise. Like, I'll use a personal example. For those of you who don't know, I'm opening a gym soon called Fiber Fitness. So this podcast is called FiberCast for a reason, right? So it'll eventually be linked to that. So I got in contact with the owner of, do you know Retro Fitness?
Yeah.
So the owner of Retro Fitness, I'm not going to state his name just so I'm, not to be unethical or anything like that. But essentially, I got in contact with him and I told about how I was opening a gym in Garfield. I told him my age. I said, I'm 20 years old. I'm opening my first gym. Like, I was mad excited and shit to tell him that, right? And tell him how much he inspired me on this journey and to, take this initiative. And what he did was he didn't even respond to what I sent, but he viewed it. And then he went on his Instagram stories and just went on a rant talking about how my generation is fucked because we want all of the luxuries of those who came before without putting in the work.
Yeah, man.
Right? So, and he said this specifically, and I quote, he said, "It's better if you pack your shit now and just give up before you lose all of your money and half of your life." And him saying that to me was one of the greatest
Motivation.
sources of motivation that I could
Yeah.
ever ask for. Because, like, that's a guy that's, like, prominent in his industry. And instead of, like, motivating me and trying to, like, and accepting the fact that, there's a new generation coming on board, right, in any industry, you try to repress that because you're too egotistic and too selfish to, like, actually help other people build and
and I'm really glad. This guy might sound messed up, but I'm really glad he told you that. I'm really glad that he told you that.
I'm glad he told me
I'm
that.
really glad he told you that you can't
best
do
thing
it.
he could ever
You can't
tell
do
me.
it because some people might take it like, wow, this guy told me I can't do it. He must know something I don't know.
And he has all of this experience. He has like hundreds of fucking retro fitnesses. He built this empire. This guy knows what he's talking about. So if he told me that I can't do it, I should fucking listen to him, right? But what I did was I was like, fuck
Don't
you.
listen to him. Don't listen.
I was like, fuck you.
You gotta believe, man.
I'm gonna get so fucking big that I'm gonna destroy destroy your brand too. But
Let's do it.
what's funny is today I went to this awesome gym, which is the one I told you about that has the
Impact Zone. Yep.
jiu-jitsu. So shout out to Impact Zone. I don't know if they're watching, but Dave, who's the owner, he took time out of his day to show me around his facility, knowing that I'm a person that's going into the same industry that he's in.
Yep.
Right? So, like, I believe that the way for you to rise is by lifting others. You could build the biggest building in the world without demolishing the other buildings around
And that ties right back to jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? I hate to just keep bringing up jiu-jitsu, but I feel But I feel
that's exactly my
If you-
initial
yeah.
question is like, how can it apply to life? So go ahead. Yeah.
and if you don't build it, like just in like a team, I think like we're all a community. Like Newark, like I'm supporting you from Newark, supporting everybody from Newark. You know what I mean? Because no one's gonna support them.
Yeah.
And if your team's only as strong as the weakest link.
No, yeah.
Like everybody goes past that quote, but it's such a
Yeah.
big like. It has such a deep meaning to it.
It's so prominent, right? In
Yeah,
everything, in every aspect you look at. So like, especially now with like social media, everybody wants to be on, right? Everybody wants that number one spot.
Everybody
but people
wants the
don't.
clout.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, you can't get there alone, right? Like you can't achieve that. Like no matter how smart you are, no matter how talented you are, if you don't have a community backing you up, a tribe.
If you don't have your friends,
you're
what I mean?
fucked.
Your friends.
You're fucked. Because even if you do get to the top, you'll regret it because you'll be alone, right? So you won't be able to like share that shit, and that like that's inevitable. And that's how you see like one of my mentors. He's an extremely successful guy. He's a businessman. He has like various different businesses. He invests in different areas, real estate. He has a couple of gyms as well in South Jersey. He's extremely successful. But every time I go to his house, you kind of notice like he's divorced. He lives alone. His daughter doesn't talk to him. His son doesn't talk to him. And you can see in his eyes like how lonely he is, right? But he has a fucking Bentley. He has a collection of cars. He has this. He has that. He has, $1,000 watches and stuff. And you can see that the guy's fucking unhappy. And it's just that like he's the type of person that just just isolates himself from everybody else.
The way I'm looking at it in my future is if I make it, you know what I mean? If I have a good career, you know what I mean? I didn't really make it if none of my friends made it, you know what I mean? I'm gonna do everything I could
to put people on as well.
Not even just to put people on, just to have my friends on the right track. Whatever I could do to get my friends to the right track in their dreams, you know what I mean? Whatever their dreams is, I want them to do it too because I want to celebrate with my friends. Especially
when you're, just like you said, especially when you've reached a pinnacle or a stage, like a point of success where you're capable of offering a platform and offering a hand to lift people up, right? So like if you're financially stable, then maybe you have a friend who all he needs is some money to like, I don't know, just to get on and stuff. Did you mute it? All right guys, so Rodrigo's cold right now. I don't even know, bro. I'm gonna start reading this shit. Hold up. Yo, I took my headphones off. This shit had like hella delay on it. Yo, yeah, they still got delay. Fuck this shit. I was about to break this, y'all. I got pissed as fuck. What are people saying, bro? We got 8 people on. There's a lot of talking though, but I can't read all of that. Yo, if you're on right now, just give us a shout out or say something. I don't know. Ooh. Or not.
Yeah, yo, you saw that. The whole internet saw that. Don't fuck up.
Don't fuck up, bro. There we go. All right. We good? Good? All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so, all right. So you said that you're leaving for the Army.
Yeah, in 6 days.
What made you join the Army? Is it the same thing, the sense of community, tribe?
Well, I want to, you know what I mean? I've always had this leadership. Like, I always thought of myself, like, as a leader. Not to be, like, cliche or anything, but, like, I always thought of myself like a leader. Like, I can do things that other people don't want to do. I can step up to the plate. Like, if you're doing a group project, I'll be the first one to start
under
the
pressure.
Icebreaker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll be like, all right, guys, let's do this. I'll give the first idea. And that's in school, but that made me who I am. That applies to me who I am. And I joined because it's going to be a backbone to my career. It's going to make me independent. Like, right now, I'm 20 years old. I don't really know what the outside life is. Like, I've only been in my mom's house.
All you know, that little...
I only know, like, eat, sleep, train, go to school, work.
Repeat.
You know what I mean? I only know a couple things. But
so it's good for you to, like, just expose yourself.
It's going to broaden my views on life. You know what I mean? I feel like I know what my career is going to be now, but maybe... I see something that's different. I want to do something different. You know what I mean? Got
it. But so you'll be going for how long?
6 months.
6 months. Damn, 6 months.
6 months.
God, yo, that's crazy. Like, but that's a commitment, though, right?
Yeah, it's a huge commitment.
Yeah. So you said that you're going to school though. So how does that work? So are you gonna like take a break off of school,
Yeah, well, for this fall semester, I'll be taking a break this fall semester, but I'm gonna jump right back for winter semester.
What major are you majoring in?
I'm doing criminal psychology.
Criminal psychology. All right. So everyone that I have on this podcast, one main question that I'll always ask inevitably is what their opinion is on school. Like, because nowadays people have this misconception where like they believe that for you to be successful, you have to go to an Ivy League school.
No.
You have to have a degree. You have to go to this. You have to do that. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be a nobody, right? So what's your vision or your opinion on school, period?
Well, I don't know. I feel like school, if you know what you want to do, you know what I mean? I mean, everything now is a competition. If you don't have that degree, people aren't even going to look at you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're just a piece of paper. And if that resume doesn't say a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, you're not going to be just as good as the other guy, even though you might be better at that specific thing. So I think school, it's education is one of the greatest things in this world. You know, so many people don't have it, and we're so lucky to have good education,
this opportunity,
and opportunity to learn things that people don't really know. You know what I mean? So my opinion on school, it is what you make it out of. You know what I mean? Whatever you make school out of, you can hate school. You can hate school and you'll never want to go back. But if you like school, if you think about it, just the education, not just the school itself, like the environment sucks, man. Like high school, it felt like a prison.
Waking up early.
it felt like a prison, but you know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So many things that you learn from it.
Yeah.
That now I'm thankful I went to that prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is what you make it. If you're there to learn, you're gonna learn. But if you're there just to hate your life,
yeah. I mean, like, just like you said, if you're, for example, you're doing criminal science, you said?
Yeah, forensic psychology, criminal psychology.
Okay. So like, yeah, so in your case, it's a technical course, right? It's like it's something that you have to have a degree in order for you to practice, in order for you to get a job and stuff. But coming from like a entrepreneurial mindset perspective, I kind of just see school as being a scam. In a sense where, like,
I mean, you're paying $40,000. I mean, you're paying $100,000 for school to get a $40,000 job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
If you get the job,
it's not a good investment. That's if you get the job.
If you get the job, because just like you said, it's extremely competitive. Every single day, it's getting more and more competitive. And speaking of jobs, like for me, for example, like, all right, so let's use business specifically. What does a business degree get you? Like, in my opinion, if you have a business degree, a Harvard business degree,
everybody got a business degree nowadays.
Yeah, but if you have one, what you'll be able to do with that business degree is you'll be able to leverage a job at a corporate, like
to somebody who doesn't.
A corporate position at a decent job. For example, if you have a Harvard business degree, then you'll be able to maybe leverage and get the opportunity to get a corporate position at Apple, Google, and all that shit. But if you actually have an entrepreneurial mindset, that business degree doesn't mean shit to you, right? No. Like, for example, I dropped out from community college. I was going to Morristown, CCM, County College of Morris, and after like the first year, I started noticing how much that resembles a business in of itself. Right. And like you're paying for something that, just like you said, like you don't know if the outcome will get you any real value. And I just looked around like one day during business 101. I remember specifically like the professor, like everything he was saying, I kind of already knew. And I looked around and like everybody was like kind of either uninterested, confused, or asleep, which ties in with uninterested. But like everybody was like, you know, and I just didn't feel like I was like that brought me any benefit. Like,
and how many times in 7th grade, 8th grade, all the way to your senior year, how many times have you learned about the same thing in history? You know what I mean? Yeah. I learned it once. I didn't need to learn it again. You know what I mean? I think school is like, I feel like this school system is all wrong because it's not teaching me what I want to learn or what I really have to learn. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need pre-calc in my life. But I went through 2 years of calc and pre-calc, you know what I mean?
How many times do you actually use algebra?
I don't, you know what I mean? I don't really use algebra. So, like, it's like, how many times have we done algebra? Since 7th grade, I've been doing algebra, you know what I mean?
Do you guys use algebra?
Do you guys use algebra? Whoever's not in high school.
Yeah, business degrees don't mean shit. Like, it doesn't mean, But I get exactly what you're saying. It's like, for example, like they try to get round people and put them into a box and try to make them square, right?
Yep.
So like, just like you said, I think that if we had a school system where it caters to each person's potential, each person's skill, each person's, just abilities in general, then we would produce better humans, I think,
Yeah, and I'm kind of being selfish saying that it's not this, it's not that, because it's kind of hard to cater for everybody's abilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because one person wants to be a painter, one person wants to be a corporate guy. So, you know what I mean? It's hard to cater to each one.
Yeah.
But I feel like it shouldn't be just a curriculum. I don't think there should be a curriculum. You know what I mean? I feel like every school should have
standard thing,
like one thing that sets different from another school, you know what I mean? So not all schools are the same and going through the same tests, you know what I mean? If you want to be a painter, go to this school. If you really want to be a nurse, you go to that school. You want to be corporate, you go to that school. I'm not going to that school, but you go to that school.
Yeah. And then it all comes down to just like how effective that is financially. It's like you said, to cater to each person, like that would probably be expensive as fuck. So it just makes more sense to just group everybody, get the herd of sheep and just manage them all together. But yeah, so like I kind of have, my skepticisms when it comes to school itself.
Yeah, man, and especially college, man. College sucks. You know why? Because it's all the same shit.
So,
my friend last year that took the same class as me, I used all his notes. I used all his tests, and I got an A.
And passed the class.
And I passed that class. You know
That's
what
how
I mean?
I passed
it's
every
the same
single
thing.
class.
It's a curriculum.
Yeah. That's how I passed every single class.
You know what I mean?
I was just getting like, I would ask for people's shit because I was so busy on like trying to develop an actual business plan to open a physical business while everybody was just like worried about doing fucking homework and shit, that I would like know about assignments that were due like that day, and I would just turn to somebody and be like, yo, like
I didn't even
let me borrow your
class,
shit.
You know what I mean? I had a friend write all my essays, not write all my essays, she just passed me down her essays because she took that class already. You know what I mean? And I got an A. Well, so I really just paid for my transcript to say A.
And that leads me to another thing. It's like, what does the grading system actually track, right? So does it test your intelligence or does it test your level of obedience?
Obedience. It's your memory too. It's your memory. If I remember everything that's gonna be on the test, I'm gonna get an A. But if I really know it, I feel like the test, it doesn't have to test what you know and you could put on paper. It has to test on how well you can use that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If I know there's one part of history, is how well I can put that into context
and actually apply it to real life as well.
And actually apply it to something different than just a sentence. 100%. You know what I mean?
I think that we should like do that for every subject, just like you said, pre-calc. Like, let's do a class where you actually apply that shit. Like, let's teach taxes. Let's teach how you do this, how you do that.
Yeah.
Like things that you'll actually do when you get out of college or school or anything like that.
What did the people saying on live? I can't really read from over here.
Yo, I can't read this shit.
It's a lot of you gotta get the people what they want, man.
What up, guys? We got 6 people live right now.
Let me see. Let me read.
Yeah, just read it.
All right, here we go. Who was on this live? Damn, we had a lot of people live, bro.
Yeah, a lot of people swaying through.
But yeah, talking about the entrepreneurship, I really respect people that are entrepreneurs. I really do, because you don't work for anybody but themselves.
Yeah, and you learn how to do shit your own way, right? So I think that's the main takeaway of like, I just can't follow rules and I can't follow like strict commands. Like I just can't follow like a standardized way of doing things. Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of people on?
A lot of people are liking this, man.
Really?
I feel like we should just we should answer questions and everything.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it. Just read on what people are saying and go through that. Let's see that. It'll be a good podcast. You know what I mean?
All right, guys.
Because it's not for us. It's really for them, really.
Yeah. Right,
it's really for everybody to see. You know what I mean?
Let me get the lighting here real quick. Do you want to answer everybody? Because I don't think everybody's on here anymore.
Well, people just start asking questions. It's going to be hard to go up now.
Criminal justice, you learned real life experience from professionals in that field. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
It's true. I mean, someone that's not like a police officer or detective, you can't teach me criminal justice because you don't do it every day. You can study criminal justice all you want, but you can't really teach
Read
it to
books.
me. Yeah.
All the books in the world, but when it comes to practical experience, like
You
where
can't
are
teach
you
me
at?
if you don't do it every day. That's
Yes,
if that's not what your life is, you're not gonna be able to teach me it because you don't do it.
Yeah, I prefer to learn hands-on experience, right? Like that's one of the main reasons why I told you. It's like I was in the classroom, business 101. I looked around, and I was just like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" You know, like right now I could be plotting, I could be planning, I could be working, getting money, saving money, and just thinking about opening, something. And so I think that that's what school lacks is just like you said, just applying everything to real life. Like, how do you apply that to real life? You
Yep.
know, like just like in my opinion, business school should be like, all right, so the project is to open a business. Everybody here is gonna, open an LLC, and we're gonna by the end of this year, we're gonna see where the profit margins are, revenue stream.
That's just like an
we're gonna count
internship
overhead.
nowadays, really.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the internship, man. Like one of my friends, Miguel, he went to boarding school for high school, perfect scores and everything. And now
Where
he's
at?
In Pennsylvania. I really don't know the name of the high school, but I know the name of this college he's going to. Business school, UPenn, Wharton Business School.
Shit.
Yeah, man, he's gonna make it. But he has an internship at Goldman Sachs. You know what I mean?
Oh shit.
So,
yeah,
so that's really good because they do that every day. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what he wants to be, but if you're a stockbroker, you can teach someone how to be a stockbroker. But if you don't do something in criminal justice, if you're not a cop, you can't teach someone how to be a cop. You know what I mean?
For sure. Otherwise, you're just a teacher, right?
And I love
You're
the
just
idea. I love the idea of like a mentor. You know what I mean? Someone that's passing down their ideas to someone else. And that's how you build a community. You can't just have everybody for themselves.
Yeah.
And if you think like that, you're not going to have a good community. But if you don't think like that and you think as, oh, okay, I'm going to pass this down because then he might pass it down to someone else and we're all going to grow. Everybody's going to grow together. You know what I mean?
But most people are selfish. So like most people hold that
can't
back.
be selfish.
It's like most people are like, I don't want to teach Rodrigo this because then Rodrigo's going to be successful and
then
he might
he's
be
gonna
more
know it.
successful than me.
Yeah.
And he's going to be, he's going to know more than me. He's going to get all my clients. He's going to be this and that.
Yeah, like my professor always tells me, like I always tell him, like, oh, I want to be just like you. You know what I mean? He's great. Like I look at him as like a role model. I want to be just like him, right? But he always tells me that he never wants me to be like him because he wants me to be better than him. You know what I mean? And I really respect that.
So that's
because
even better.
He's teaching me everything he knows. And I'm gonna you know what I mean? I want to be better than him now because that's what he wants from me. You know what I mean?
And because he gave you some motivation. And there's a lot of value that comes from like when you hear good words from people who are in the position that you want to get to.
And that you really look up to, your role model. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's like two sides to that coin though. So like for example, just like I told you before, the owner of Retro Fitness, right? For those of you who don't know, I'm opening a gym. I said that like 10 times already, but yeah, so I'm open.
Fiber Fitness,
plugging it in whenever possible. If you guys work out, if you guys are fitness, it's going to be in Garfield, New Jersey. It's going to be loosely based on Planet Fitness. Do you know Planet Fitness?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. What do you think about Planet Fitness?
Well, I didn't really like Planet Fitness the first time because I went to go lift heavy and I made a noise and the buzzer went off and everybody looked at me. So
Lunk alarm, right?
But you know what I mean? I hate the gym. I really hate the gym because I hate the environment. It's always like everybody's a competition. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're just starting off, everybody's looking at you and it's kind of downgrading you and it's kind of like not motivating.
But do you mean gym in general or
the gym? Like
in general?
If I go to LA Fitness right now,
it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing. You know what I mean? Because look, I go to the gym like I used to go to the gym. I don't like going to the gym anymore, but I'm lazy. But like if I were to go to the gym every day, I'm gonna start seeing results. But if someone just started the gym, people look at them like what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like so it's hard. It's hard because there's no motivation around there. Yeah. So I don't like the gym environment.
And it's funny that you say that because Planet Fitness is one of the gyms that talks about judgment-free zones.
Don't judgment-free zones. Yeah, I really respect that, but I feel like how do you really change a judgment-free zone? How do you make it a judgment-free zone, really?
And it's actually ironic, though. It's like, for example, you dropped the weights, right?
Yeah.
So the lunk alarm went on, and so everybody started judging.
Everybody started judging me. Everybody started looking at me. I'm like, damn, I didn't really mean to drop the weight, but if I didn't drop the weight, I was gonna get hurt because it was heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they also say like I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where
a lot of people saying
All right, let's see. All right, guys, hold on. I've had retired cops and correctional officers teach me though. That's what I'm trying to say, and take us on trips to business and field. But I can give a take on other fields, just what I studied.
Let me try to work this.
Yeah, so real estate guru. I agree 100% with what you just said about business degrees. Fuck that. It's a waste of money. It's a scam.
Yeah, man. Talking about that, he's been a friend of mine for a long time. Real estate guru in Jersey City, and he's an entrepreneur, man. He made it. You know what I mean? No. Damn it, man. I really worked hard for that.
We'll try later.
Yeah, we'll try later. But yeah, he works for himself. You know what I mean? He has this investment. He's investing in his own company with his wife now, and it's really inspiring because I talk to him all the time on Xbox. You know what I mean? But he told me like, oh, if you hate your job, stop working for someone and start working for yourself. You know what I mean? I said think about myself, you know what I mean, or start working for myself.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
I really respect that entrepreneurship because you're really making something out of nothing. You know what I mean?
You're creating
Yeah.
opportunity for others as well, right? So you're providing a platform,
And you're providing something for someone else.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not just working for someone, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So speaking of entrepreneurship, do people watching right now know of your idea of opening a
I'm not going to tell people that because they're going to steal my idea.
I mean, open a bike shop in Newark.
People are going to take my idea, man.
Yo, he wants to open a bike shop because there's no bike shop in Newark. Nah, yeah, but like, it's just like, I was attracted to the whole entrepreneurial thing. It's just that. It's just like, I don't have to respond to anybody, right? It's just me, myself, and I. But then again, I'm conscious enough to know that, you know, I need a team behind me, right? So like, for example, this whole fiber fitness endeavor, it's me. With like, all right, so I can't, for example, like you just said that eventually you'll build up to that mindset. But
Yep.
I think that the only way for you to build up to that mindset is by exposing yourself to discomfort. So that's something that you're doing now or that you're going to do, that you said that you're leaving for the military and leaving for 6 months, which that, you know, to me sounds crazy. And to a lot of people, I bet, sounds crazy too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very impressive because it shows that you're willing to place yourself in a position of discomfort and get out of your comfort zone.
I mean? I was talking to this with a friend, and it was like, he asked me, "Are you nervous?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm nervous because because I'm afraid of the unknown." You know what I mean? It's about fear of the unknown. I don't know what to expect, but I got to get my foot in the door. That's how everything starts. You get your foot in the door. Nothing's ever really given to you. You know what I mean?
Success, I think, is on the other side of fear, right?
Yep.
So there's fear of doing, there's fear of contemplating and doing, and there's fearing not doing anything at all. And I think that everybody can put themselves in one of those categories. I put myself in the last one, which is fear of not doing. So like, I hate the fact, like, for example, I had this podcast idea because I listen to a lot of fucking podcasts, right? So after listening to a lot of podcasts, I was like, yo, like, I get so much value from this. So, and I think I can hold a conversation decently. I think I have a lot of shit to say. I think that, you know, so I started thinking a lot. But then I got to a point where I was like, all right, so I'm going to stop thinking and actually start doing. So then I started, you know, just establishing a plan. Establishing a plan, sitting down, say, all right, so what do I need? For example, we took an hour to get this whole thing set up. And this is the second episode.
It took me an hour to get this. So I'm gonna start doing this.
It took you 2 days. But Yeah, so like it takes practice, and it's not going to be perfect. This one's not going to be perfect. The next one's not going to be perfect. The next 50 podcasts aren't going to be perfect. But the thing is, you can't wait on perfection. Oh, you got it?
I got it. I'm not gonna make a spin because I really can't make a spin, but
Do you guys want to see what he's talking about? Hold up, hold up, hold up. Yo, 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 Vanessa, what's good? Wilson said, hey, Rodrigo.
so
Yo, real estate. It's funny that you bring that up.
what did he ask?
All right, hold up. I'll get to your question, to your statement real quick. Hold up. Just let me show people what Rodrigo is trying to do. So this shit, if you show them what happens when you do. So just trying to fix that shit up. Yeah, so that's a magnet stuff right there. And then try to make it spin. You got it? No. Yeah.
Right there. I'm keeping it just like that.
It's harder than it looks, guys.
It's actually really hard.
It's really harder than it looks. All right, so, oh shit.
Yeah, everybody saw that.
Oh shit, I turned it off.
Did you?
All right,
Oh,
so
you just paused
just as Vanessa said that we were doing great, my phone just fucking almost broke right now. That's good.
But what did
Thank you, Vanessa.
what did
Yeah,
real estate-
so
his name is Mariano. Actually, I hate calling him real estate guru.
yeah, Mariano.
but, Mariano.
All right, so Mariano said that I should open an Orange Theory. Do you know Orange Theory?
I did not.
No. So basically, what it is, it's a relatively small business model where you pay per class or you pay a membership where you have unlimited class per month, right? And what happens is it's a group training session. If I'm not mistaken, it's an hour long, and then you do like high intensity interval training. Just leave it. High interval intensity training, right? So you alternate between different frequencies, heart rate wise. So you track your heart rate throughout the whole workout, and you kind of try to get into the orange zone, which is the ideal heart rate for you to burn as much fat as you can. Yeah, calories and stuff. So responding to what he said that I should open one of those, I'm trying to integrate that as we speak into the Fiber Fitness business model. So I'm trying to like put like a mini business model within the macro. So that'll be an additional revenue stream where I'll have a premium section, because like my gym is gonna have like turf, hydro massage, tanning, and everything else that any other gym has to offer equipment wise. And then there's this, reserved section that I'm trying to figure out what I'll do with it. And I think it's big enough to do a Orange Theory. So responding to that, hopefully I'll be able to get that accomplished and just put, an Orange Theory type thing in there. And once it's open, his name is what again? Sorry. Mariano. I'll tell Rodrigo to let you know so you can, or just add me on Instagram later.
Yep, follow him. Everybody follow him.
It's competition driven, but even out of shape individuals can compete with top athletes. It's based on it. Yeah. So it basically balances everybody out. So everybody has an equal opportunity.
Because everybody's different,
Because everybody works out at their own rhythm.
Everybody has their own different heart rate. Everybody has their own different style of working out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And their own limits too. So I think that's also one of the biggest things when it comes to working out.
I feel like for you to have a good gym, I feel like you gotta listen to the people. You gotta know your clients. LA Fitness has how many clients? You know what I mean?
And it's a corporate thing.
You know what I mean? It's a corporate thing, so you're not really gonna know anybody. You're not gonna know everybody's just like a slide.
Scan, get in, get out.
I scan. They don't even know my face. My friend uses his other friends. So like, how are you really paying attention to someone unless you're paying extra for fitness? Like a personal trainer, you don't really know who you're working with.
Exactly.
So I'm saying like, an idea for your gym, I feel like you gotta know exactly who's coming in the gym.
Put in time and energy to get to know people.
Yep, know them.
Not just create a business like get people's money, right?
It's gonna be hard, But
Yeah. And the owner of Impact Zone, again, shout out to Dave. He told me this today. He said exactly what you just said. He said that most gyms only care about money, and that's the biggest error that you could do, or any business really. And I watched him walk through the gym. Almost every person we passed by, he knew their names. And he said that he has 2,000 monthly members in that gym.
That's what I'm saying to you.
That's insane.
You gotta know, and it's not even know their name. You gotta know how they like to work out, like what's their style. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different style.
You have to know your audience, right? So that applies to any, if you want to influence people, especially if you're trying to influence people. Like, for example, like this podcast right now, in a sense, without trying to come off, cocky or anything like that, but we're technically influencing the people that are watching, right? Because we're influencing their way of thinking, their way of analyzing certain aspects. So everything that we're talking right now, people that are watching are probably thinking about it and questioning themselves and questioning how they think about things, right?
The way I'm looking at this podcast, it's like you're getting a little taste of my mind. You're running a podcast, so you guys are getting a little bit of taste of my mind. The next episode, you're gonna get someone else that's different, and it's never gonna be the same script because there's no script. You know what I mean? So
there's no pre-established questions.
Everybody's gonna be different. So I feel like this podcast is really cool because you're gonna know everybody a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of my followers don't know me as who I am, but now I get this little chance to describe to
actually
them
show them
what I'm
how
doing,
you think
how
about
I
certain
think.
things.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that brings me back to what I told you on the way here. It's like I told them that every guest that comes on, I'll go over all the footage, I'll analyze it, edit, and then like the main takeaways and the highlights of what you said throughout the podcast, I'll make like mini highlight videos so that you can even share on your Instagram and stuff. So it'll show your followers, your friends, your family, how you think about certain things in life, right? So, for example, like you could have 10,000 followers, 20,000, a million followers. But what if all those people, like maybe they don't know how you, like who is Rodrigo for real? Like they know what you portray.
They don't know anything. They just know who I look like. You know what I mean?
And the pictures you take, right?
And the pictures you take,
Exactly. So this podcast is just that. It's like I feel like everybody has value to contribute. No matter... Everybody that's watching this right now, you have some sort of value to contribute to someone, always, right? So, like, for example, people who say, like, oh, I'm depressed, I feel useless and stuff, like, that's what I would tell them, right? It's like, dude, like, you have so much potential because everybody knows something that someone doesn't know.
And that's what happens when you give someone advice. Like if someone's going through a break, like this is all really coming back to the mentorship and like really like what education is like, not just school education is like. And it like just like let's give an example. Like if someone were to get into like an argument with their girlfriend and break up. The only person that could really give you his advice is someone that went through that already. Someone that has the wisdom of that certain topic. You know what I mean? You can't ask someone that's never been in a relationship what they're going to do.
Ask a priest or something like that. It's like, what's a priest going to tell you?
So, and that comes down to how many people are actually trying to help the other people. Because if someone helps me, I'm going to have that information to help someone else. You know what I mean? And it's going to be like a chain like that. But if you don't help anybody, everybody's gonna fall.
Yeah, because that comes back to like being selfish with the information that you acquire, right? So I also think that, for example, like I want to serve as a vessel of some sort. So in a sense, like what do I mean by that? I just want to share as much value as possible, especially like right now, for example, like I'm opening my first business. I'm 20 years old. Maybe there's somebody out there that's 20 years old as well. But he or she was told by somebody that they should wait. They shouldn't like that. That idea is not worth it. You'll never be able to do it. Don't even try.
Yep.
And so, but then if there's someone out there that's actually doing what you think is impossible, that's when you actually start that chain. That domino effect where you start influencing other people.
Yep.
So like that's essentially what I'm doing as well. Just like I told you again on the way here, the whole vlog thing. Right? So everybody watching, I have a vlog on YouTube that I started. We put out the first episode, I think it was last week. And basically what I'm doing is I've brought a good friend of mine, JT.
Yep.
Do you know JT? Shout out JT.
First episode, yep.
Yeah. He's a very creative content producer. And so I brought him on the team, on the Fiber Fitness team, and now he's helping me produce as much content as possible. So my main goal with that is to document versus create, because I also believe that, for example, it all comes down to like insecurity and to thinking that things have to be a certain way.
Yeah.
So when it comes to content creation, an artist, he's very critical about his own work.
And that all comes down to, remember what I said about curriculums in school.
Yes.
It's
yes.
all
a standardized test.
You got to break that
standardized test and grades. Rating system.
You can't fit someone that's a circle into a square, like you said.
Exactly. I think that, for example, the kid who gets straight A's compared to the kid who gets straight D's and F's or C's. The kid who gets straight A's, he's not necessarily the smartest kid in the class.
He might be book smart. He might be
book smart.
But he doesn't have
what he is for sure. He's the most obedient kid in the class.
Yeah.
Because grades for me test obedience. If you get straight A's, that means that you're complying to exactly what the system is asking you to do. You're thinking just like the professor wants you to think. You're saying just what the professor wants you to say. And that pisses me the fuck off. Like, I can't, like, dude, I can't look around and see. Like, I hate, in that sense, I hate consistency. I hate routine in that sense, right? Again, everything has its two sides of the coin. Consistency, routine is good, but it can also be bad in certain settings. And in a college self-development setting, I think that shit just fucking, it fucks with me, right? So, like, yeah, so getting back to the whole school system, it's just why? Just why bother, right? All right, so let's talk about, all right.
Let's talk about the use of phones, honestly. Like I was gonna say it, but I was interrupted. What is that?
Damn, yo. We got 79 viewers.
It finished?
Do you want to start again?
Let's take a little break real quick.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, I want to ask you, do you have any specific routines that you do every single day religiously? What's one thing that you can't go about your day without doing? If you do, you feel incomplete, you feel miserable, you're upset. I don't know. What's one thing that you have to do every single day?
All right. So one thing I have to do every single day is, might sound cliche, I gotta thank God. As soon as I wake up, gotta thank God that that I'm alive. You know what I mean? Everything I got. So it's all really like a blessing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one thing I gotta do, and it's not even like on a really religious standpoint. It's just a really
it's just a meditative.
I gotta be grateful. I gotta be grateful for everything I got. So you know what I mean? I wake up and I'm grateful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I got. One thing I do straight off the bat as soon as I wake up. Every day I gotta say what's up to my dog. You know what I mean? I gotta play with my dog.
Because shout out to your dog. He might be watching right now.
Might be watching. That's like my best friend. So I gotta be
sure
with my dog. So that's one thing you gotta do. I don't know. What do you do every single day?
Yeah, no. So I do something similar to you, but like the only difference is like I don't consider myself a religious person. Like I have nothing against religion. I think there's much value in it, but I'm just personally not a religious person. But the way I do it is I deploy mindfulness every single morning. So in a sense, I do kind of pray as well. But the way I do it is like I try to be mindful of the small things in life, like the small blessings. Like for example, I'm thankful that I'm breathing right now.
Yep.
So I'll do breathing exercises. I meditate 15 to 25 minutes every single morning. If I don't meditate, like that's the first thing I'll do. I'll wake up, make my bed, meditate, and then start my day. And then go to the bathroom, take a shower, do whatever you got to do. But it's just that meditating thing that I think it's so necessary. Because it not only humbles you, but it clears your mind it just allows you to be, if that makes sense, right? You actually, like, it's moments that you spend by yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said on the last video that champions are made on the ground. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No one knows what you're doing. No one has to know what you're doing.
Your habits.
Exactly.
Yep. And I just think that there's so much value because, like, for example, in today's society, people are just throwing information at you, right? So much shit coming your way. It's so much, news, politics, everything that's going on, and it's overwhelming. And that's how people become anxious. Mm-hmm. Anxiety is just that, right? It's just like being worried about so many things at the same time. And so I think there's much value in being able to clear your mind, be mindful, and kind of channel your energy towards what you deem to be most important. Mm-hmm. So, for example, before I start my day, I put the objective of what I want to accomplish that day. Like, I'll write down physically, like I have a notebook in my room where I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for every single morning. So I'll wake up and I'll write down 5 things I'm grateful for. It could be the same 5 things every day, but I need to write
You
those
gotta
things
write it
down.
down. Yep.
Yeah.
Because you feel accomplished after
Because
you do it.
when you write it down, it becomes real.
It become you speak into it.
Exactly. Because like there's much, and people don't really understand that. It's like by you writing down your objectives, for example, like that's you making that shit real. Like it's not only in your mind anymore, right? It's not just an idea. It's not just a thought process. It's a physical thing. Even though you're not, conjuring up a Ferrari that you want to buy, right? But you're at least establishing a path for you to achieve that goal, and I think that's extremely important.
One quote that always gets me is like some people about failure. It's not about that some people aim too high and miss. It's that people aim too low and actually hit.
Wow, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So a lot of people are scared of aiming so high that they set their standards so low.
Just to cope with
they end up hitting that standard, and then what I mean, you can do so much more with your life.
Yeah, and then you become complacent, and that's when you go towards that path of the 9 to 5, right?
Yep.
You want security. That's one thing that we want, and that we touched on before the break, is that security is something that people gravitate towards. Because the moment that you step out of your comfort zone, you're exposing yourself.
Yep.
And that actually brings me to something else. For example, our brains are designed to keep us alive, period. Your brain, my brain, everybody's brain watching, it doesn't give a shit about what you like, what you don't like, about your relationship problems, about that girl that you're trying to get with, about this job that you hate. It doesn't give a shit. What it wants to do is keep you alive. That's all it cares about. So think about it for a second. What makes more sense survival-wise? You constantly putting yourself out of your comfort zone, or you having a secure routine?
Yeah.
Secure routine.
Secure routine.
Because it's something that the outcome is predicted. So when you can predict the outcome, that gives you comfort.
Yeah.
And that's what we gravitate towards. So like that's another thing that like about me personally is that people who know me personally, I don't know if anyone from my Instagram is watching this right now, but people who know me personally, they know that I have a very fucked up way of looking at things, in a sense where you'll state something very simple and I'll just start digesting that and breaking that down into like a very, very deep way, right? So like everything I see is a psychological reason behind it. Like there's a reason why you do certain things. And that brings me to another thing that I also want to get your opinion on. Is what do you think about ego?
As in,
how do I put this? What do you think? All right. So let me say an example. Especially people our age, right? People our age, generally what they want to do is they want to get a job that pays relatively well. They want to be able to afford to lease a BMW, Mercedes, something along those lines.
Okay.
So that they have that car, even if it's being leased, even if they don't have money at the end of the month to eat.
Yeah.
They'll allocate resources towards having money for gas, so that they can put gas in their BMW, Mercedes. They could drive around their town, drive around in front of the main clubs, main bars, get the attention of the females, the ladies, and that for them is great. Like that's the epitome of success for them in their mind. Like that's enough.
Yep.
What do you think about those people, and like what's your opinion on that?
At the end of the day, it's really how happy you are. You know what I mean? If you take away the car, if you take away the money from that one person, what does he really have? He's really depending on other people for his own happiness. And that's someone taught to me, like that's something someone taught to me one day, and it was like, you can't really depend on someone else for your happiness. You can't depend on anybody
or things either.
You can't really invest all your happiness into one person or one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you take away the car from that guy,
try to speak into the mic. Sorry.
If you take away the car from that guy, what does he really have? If that's really the source of his happiness?
Yeah.
He's not really happiness. He's not really happy, and then that's how depression starts. You know what I mean? People don't know what to do. People don't know how to find their own happiness. So you really gotta find true happiness, and you gotta be humble. You gotta find out, like you can't be arrogant, because that's not really happiness. You know what I mean? That's just feeding off other people not being not being happy either.
And off of what you just said, like I agree 1000%. And I also think like you touched on, those type of people, their value is predicated on the things that they have,
Yep.
right? So, for example, when you place your self worth, your value on your Gucci flip flops,
Yeah.
on your Mercedes that you're leasing, on just materialistic things, you become vacant internally.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that social media is tries to advertise or motivate, right? It motivates that. It motivates, for example, you could be living out of your car, but you're posting pictures in front of iconic places.
Yep.
You're posting pictures in different angles. So it's all about the angle and the perspective in which you view life, right? It's all about perspective. Like I'm huge on empathy. I'm huge on like putting myself in other people's shoes. Like that's the first thing I do. Like for example, if somebody hates on me or if somebody says something mean, disgusting to me, my immediate reaction isn't to like deploy anger back.
Yep.
I try to empathize with that person because that person is probably hurting,
And
right?
you try to feel where they're coming from with that.
Where they're coming
Where-
from, because there's a reason why that person feels that way. There's a reason why that person goes about their lives
And whenever
in that
someone
manner.
whenever someone does something, you got to think of it as not wow, he's such an asshole or she's such an asshole for doing this. Is why did he do this, and how hard was it for him to actually do it? You know what I mean? If someone were to say something really messed up, really mean to someone, and then you ask them, why would you say something like that? You know what I mean? Like, where did you come from?
Try to
Where-
understand
You
that.
try to
Yeah.
understand it, but it's hard to understand it in that right state of mind. But then after, like, you
Yeah,
see a bunch of
after
memes, like
you
everybody's
said-
in the shower. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
I could have said this to win this argument.
Everybody has that, right?
I
should have said this.
I should have said this. Wow, I would have won this argument if I would have said this.
And you even start talking to yourself even and
You
just
end up
recreating that scenario.
regretting it. So it's like it's really like in the heat of the moment, and that's why you gotta take time to. Everything you say, you can't take it back. Like in 5th grade, my teacher made me get a bottle of toothpaste, spread all the toothpaste out, and then
Eat it?
5 minutes later, she was like, "Put it back in the bottle." You can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle, just like you can't put your words back. You know what I mean?
Just like milk. Like if you spill milk,
You're never
can't-
gonna be able to fit in the bottle. So what I say to you, I can never
that's
take back.
dope.
I can never take that
Your
back.
5th grade teacher
My 5th
did
grade
that?
teacher did me that.
Did she do that just to you specifically or to the
She
whole
did
class?
it for the whole class.
Wow.
And at that time, we
That's
were all
dope.
like,
Yeah, like, what the
we
fuck
didn't
is this
really
bitch
understand
saying?
it. But now I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it. I'm like, wow, everything you do, that's permanent now. You can never take something back.
Once you put it out into the universe, it's there.
So if someone were to do something messed up to someone, it's like they really had to have something happen to them to drive. The drive has to.
And what ends up happening is like the counterpart, the person that they're targeting, he or she generally like in the heat of the moment, just like you said, they don't really take in the time necessary to actually think or deploy empathy, right? And I think that that's where empathy comes in, and mindfulness and praying in the morning. I don't care what religion you have. If you're a Buddhist, if you're, I don't know, just any religion. I don't know why I couldn't think of any other religion for some reason, but it doesn't matter. Like if it's religion, if it's meditation, the fact that you're putting yourself in a position that humbles you, right, and that gives you awareness of what's going on, not only around you but within you. That's when you could go about the world and go out into the world and actually attribute value to
I
others.
feel like your self-esteem and your ego can
Get in
only
the
be
way
only be really like strong and confidential when you're humble to something, and when you're like how do I say this, when you're grateful for everything, because
Gratitude.
just like that guy going back to that guy with the car, you take his car away,
What does
he's
he have?
nothing, right?
What does he
So
have?
you got to be grateful for everything, because everything, you can lose everything in one moment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so if you really are grateful, once you lose everything, because chances are you will lose everything and you got to start over, you can start over because your ego was like, okay, I'm not happy just because of this. I'm happy because how hard I got to there.
Yep. And there's a really great quote. Do you know Eric Thomas? Yeah.
Yep, love his videos.
He said once, that you can burn my house down to the ground. I'll just get the blueprint and rebuild it.
Yeah.
But one thing that you can't do is take away all of the knowledge and all of the experience I've gained through life.
You can't take
right?
that away.
Because with all of that experience and knowledge that you've gained, you'll build yourself another house or a bigger house even. Because through that experience,
a better house
because
you
that
knew
one burned down. So the next one you'll build it out of steel.
You knew a faucet didn't work, so it's like now I'm gonna make a better
fire
house.
Fire resistant, everything. So like that quote, like I legit get goosebumps from it because like I believe a lot in that. It's like if you're gonna fail forward.
You gotta learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, but people are scared to fail, and then that goes full circle to what we actually discussed in the beginning of this podcast, where we were talking about how people are scared to try things, right? Because they're scared of failure. But if you're scared of failure, because failure is inevitable, right? I talk a lot about Fiber Fitness, about opening in this gym. I have no security as to if it's going to be successful or not. I could open it and go bankrupt. But I'm willing to take the risk.
Yep.
And I'm willing to put myself in that position where I know that if that does happen, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, I'll have experience. I'll have value from that. So then the next gym, the Fiber Fitness 2.0, or the next idea, I'll deploy what I learned from that experience onto that. Yep. So it's always like going from one point to the next, from one point to the next. And that's why I have problems with routine, with, just standard way of doing things. Because I think that everybody has their own way of doing certain things. And from that, like, for example, let me try to create a practical example here. Let's say that so let's say that you got punched in the face by a random person. You're walking down the street and you got punched in the face. And let's say that I was walking down the same street and I got punched in the face by the same person. But different days, we don't know each other. It just happened, right? The same exact way that the punch landed, same force, same impact. Everything's the same. What's not the same is how you'll react.
How you answer to it, yes.
And how I'll react. Let's say that maybe with all of your jiu-jitsu experience, I'm not saying that you would do this, but you could easily destroy the guy, right? And then let's say with like zero experience, I could try to react, but then I won't have the same experience that you've acquired through 3 years of jiu-jitsu, right? So your way of dealing with that problem, or you could even like just ignore it. Some people could even ignore it. Some people can, just start crying, just fall on the floor, even though it's just one punch. So that's how I view life. Like life is one punch. It'll hit you. That's inevitable. It's what you do after you're hit.
Yeah. Well, my coach always tells us this. It's like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Yep.
Yo, I'm thinking about getting a poster of that written and putting it right here.
Everybody has a plan. Everything you can plan everything out, but as soon as life hits you,
you're fucked.
That's where your real plan starts. When you adapt to life circumstances. So, so once you get punched in the face, that's.
I think it was Muhammad Ali who said that.
I'm not sure who said it, but
sure
something he would say.
Yep. So, all right. So let's continue down this ego path because I also want to get to something else. Do you know, because I think that everybody knows, how many people are watching this right now?
Three.
That's a lot of people. All right. So I think that everybody knows that one person that portrays themselves as being overly confident, overly, how do I say this? Overly confident, overly strong. It's always that person that portrays excess, right? So, for example, that one guy that walks into the gym and just like stuffs out his chest and just eyeballs everybody, intimidates everybody. Like you're trying to portray yourself as being something in a very extreme way. So when you do that, the psychology behind that is the person that's overly confident is compensating for his or her lack of confidence.
Yep.
Because your brain wants to keep you alive. Let's say that Rodrigo lacks confidence. Your brain is like, fuck, shit. How do I fix this? So it triggers you to, all right, so prove to people that you're confident. But then your brain doesn't have like a measuring system. So it just maxes out. And then your way of proving yourself is by purchasing the BMW, leasing it, Mercedes, Rolex watch, and then you start allocating your worth, and your worth is represented by the things that you have, your Gucci flip-flops, your Rolex, whatever.
You're materializing everything,
and that's enough for you, and then you become satisfied with the results because then you get, you attract the ladies, and a lot of women are into that stuff. I'm not saying that all women aren't. There are women that actually look for more than that, but that's essentially it. So do you think that makes sense to like overcompensate? Do you see that a lot? Do you know?
I see it all the time, really.
Mhm.
I see it all the time where people are trying to fake their happiness. You're not
How so?
really,
How so?
you know
Like
what I mean?
faking it.
I've done it myself. I bet
Mhm.
you've done it yourself. You
Mhm.
put on a fake smile whenever someone talks to you. Whenever someone asks you how are you?
Yeah.
You're never gonna say, oh,
Oh, I
well,
feel
this
this
is wrong
way.
or this
Yeah.
wrong. You're always gonna say good because you don't want that other person.
To
You don't.
view as weak or something like
Yeah,
that.
that, and you don't want that other person. You don't want that other person to be like, oh, damn, wow, he's upset now. Like you
He's
don't want
going
to
through
share
shit
that energy. You don't want to. You want to keep that. Hey, I'm great.
for
You know what I
yourself.
mean? Everything's great. Cause and then if everything's great for you, the other person's gonna be like, okay, what do I need to do to be great? You know what I mean? What do I need to do to make my life great? And if it's not great, it's never a problem to say, oh no, nothing's all right. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure,
This
for
is
sure,
wrong.
for
This
sure.
is wrong.
And I think that the worst thing that you could do, just like you said, is like keep the negative stuff inside. Just like just like try to secure it inside. Say
Yeah.
like, I'll keep this
No,
all to
you always
myself
gotta talk to someone. You
because
always
you
gotta talk to
will
someone.
implode, right?
You
You'll
will.
explode from the inside because like that's what ends up happening, and that's how you get school shootings. That's how you get suicides. Because like, let's even touch on school shootings. Fuck it. Um, so the way that I see all of these school shootings is I see it just like the problem comes from the household inevitably, right? Most of these school shooters, if you look at their house environment, they come from broken homes. Dad's probably on drugs, mom's probably absent, or dad's absent, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But there's always a problem that comes from the root, right?
Yep.
But what do we do as human beings that's natural? We do what's instinctive and what requires less effort.
Yeah.
So we look at the cause, we look at the action. He shot up a school. What's the immediate cause that you can point out? The guns. And
Yeah.
then that's when you start saying we have to ban guns, we have to do this, we have to have police people at the fucking school. We so I think that, for example, like on this particular subject, I think that you should stem down to both the psychology of the like for example, before you buy a fucking AK-47, let's not use AK-47. Let's use an AR-15.
Yep.
So before you buy a fucking AR-15, there should be a fucking a deep psychiatric test process to determine whether or not Rodrigo is capable of fucking buying a gun.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to just go there with your dad's permit, with maybe your own permit or some shit like that you've acquired relatively easily. Just buy a fucking gun. Like, why would you sell that shit to a fucking 14-year-old, 13-year-old?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So you have to like go back to the root of the problem, but we refuse to do that, and we do that in everything. Right?
I feel like the reason why there's so many problems now is because people are so scared of what others are gonna think of them. You know what I mean? I feel like you gotta encourage everybody to express themselves. You know what I mean? Express yourself whatever way you want. You know what I mean? If you want to punch that wall, you punch that wall. You know what I mean?
Yep.
As long as you're not affecting others. You know what I mean? Don't, because if you hurt others, you're not really helping yourself.
You're not.
Like the worst case scenario about that school shooting, man, like it's such a tricky topic because it's a really horrible and tragic thing. But what was that person going through? Like, I hate the fact that he took someone's life,
But
but you know what I mean? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
What was he really thinking about? It's such a tricky topic though. But suicide is, I think, is even worse because he didn't want to do anything but hurt himself. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
she
so
hurt himself.
he or she was so scared of hurting others.
And I feel
that
like it's
he
just
ran-
one simple occasion of like, hey, you don't look too good today. What's
Yep.
up? Like, let me take you out
Yep.
to eat. Like, let's go talk. Let's go to the park. Let's go talk. I feel like that one simple thing can change everything. You know what I
can
mean?
change the whole outcome, and that's actually the tipping point. I actually have a book right here called The Tipping Point. Like everybody gets to a point, and not just like everybody, but everything that happens in the world. Like you get to a certain point, and like if you don't do something about that thing, it'll inevitably tip over and spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
Right? So things will catch on fire really quickly. Like it'll go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Because everything's built up. A lot
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
build up. I'm not saying I don't
Build
either
up
because I do
anger,
it too.
resentment.
Sometimes I build everything up because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And as soon as I can give that something, like I can put a name to that feeling, I blow up. You know what I mean? I blame it on something, but that's not really what's happening. Like
Yeah.
I can be going through a breakup, and I can lose my job, and that I could all build up. But as soon as someone says something bad to me, I can blow up to them. You know what I mean? I can blow up and react a completely different way.
That's
than
what
if I
happened to
were
these
to
school
manage
shooters.
everything correctly at one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that the biggest lack of that is mainly communication. I think, like, just like you said, like, if that one person that says, like, hey, Rodrigo, I noticed that today you slammed the door a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
Is everything okay at home? Is everything cool? Do you want to talk about your dad? Do you want to talk about your mom? Do you want to do this? You want to do that? And that's what we lack now, right? So people, like, if you offer, for example, like this right here is an opportunity to communicate.
To voice your opinion.
Yeah, it's just like, just come on and just talk about and just express the way you feel. And I think that the more opportunities we put out, both in like school settings, in every setting possible, especially your household, because that's where everything begins, you know, then you won't have these incidents. You won't have so much because you'll be putting it out, right? Putting out your ideas, putting out your feelings, and you'll start understanding yourself by knowing and having reassurance of others that that's normal. It's like, oh, like, you know, maybe you're scared of being a grown up. You know, maybe you're horrified by it because of something that happened in your life, and then you kill yourself because you don't want to be like, that's crazy, right? It sounds crazy, but a lot of people might have that. As crazy as it sounds. So that's another thing. It's like you can't judge a person's experience or what.
You never really know what anybody's going through.
Where
Everybody
they're
has
coming
their own,
from.
Everybody has their own problems.
Everybody has their own struggle. Everybody has their own way. You know, their own lives. Really, it's just you can't generalize that shit, and I think that's important. All right, I'm trying to think where we could segue from here. So we touched on meditation. We touched on ego. We touched on jiu-jitsu. Well, jiu-jitsu applies to everything, actually.
Yeah, it really does. Everything in my life.
We touched on school shootings. That's probably going to be the topic for clickbait. It's just like school shootings.
Yeah, it's such a tricky topic.
What's your opinion on? What do I want your opinion on? Let me see. Are you big on reading books and stuff?
Man, I really wish I was, because there's something like you can learn so much on reading books, but I just really can't focus on reading a book. I don't know why.
Patience. All right, so let me talk about mentors again. Do you think it's valuable, or do you think that it's important for a person to have a mentor?
You need a mentor for every single thing that you do. And like I said in the last video, one person that's not an expert on something can't teach you something else. You know what I mean? So the thing about a mentor, it could be anybody. It could be your father. It could be your mother. It could be the guy down the street, your brother. A mentor could be anybody that you look up to in that certain situation. You know what I mean?
And that kind of guides you through it.
Yep. So
yeah, for sure.
So everybody needs someone to look up to. Everybody needs like a guideline, and someone that's wiser than them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So someone who went through that experience, they need that
has experience.
Yep. They need someone to teach them and learn from their mistakes, so you don't make the same mistakes.
Do you have anybody like that you look up to specifically, like maybe a famous person that maybe somebody knows?
Yeah, I mean, the one person I look up to is my professor.
Professor, okay. Do you want to shout him out? Is he watching this?
I don't think he's watching right now, but
Marco,
yeah. I really look up to my jiu-jitsu professor. He's a great guy. You know what I mean? He helped me through a lot. He showed me through a lot, and he helped me find my real happiness, really.
Got you. So, all right. So, where do you see yourself? Do you believe in like visualizing the future? Because I know that a lot of people, for example, my past guest JT, he said that he doesn't really believe in like looking too far into the future, because he said that if you look too far into the future, you forget to live the present. So there, again, like anything else, there's two sides to that coin. So I, for one, think the opposite. I think that it's important for you to like, strategize and think about, to be able to like, for example, let's say that your end goal is to become an Olympic champion.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so what are you gonna do? Right. So you have to like get that huge goal that may seem astronomical. It may seem too big to be true or whatever, and you have to get that huge ass goal and kind of like break it up into like small pieces and parts, portions, so it's easily digestible, um, and realistic to
And
accomplish.
capable of doing
Yeah,
it.
so like small objectives each day. So like, all right, so what do I have to? So what steps do I take to become that Olympic athlete? And I think that that's what a lot of people do. Is like, I want to be a movie star. I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a football player. I want to be a rapper. I want to be an artist. I want to. Doesn't matter what you want to be. That doesn't matter. It's what you do towards achieving that goal that's going to set you apart.
And I feel like you gotta aim as high as possible. You
So
want
yeah,
something, you aim as high as possible. But remember, there's stepping stones and there's milestones that you have to reach
failure.
before that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
inevitable
So
failures.
so while you're planning your goal, you gotta also plan what could happen in the way. Just like coming back to that quote that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So every single thing that you do, you gotta plan accordingly. Like, look, this may happen, or even if you don't know what may happen, you gotta plan if something happens, how are you gonna avoid that and how are you gonna adapt? Maybe your goal changes,
Yeah, for sure.
but
For sure.
and then you got to start all over and you got to make a milestone for that. And I think it's building milestones that will get you to your goal.
For sure. And basically, it's expect the unexpected,
Yeah.
essentially, because that way you'll prepare yourself mentally
And
and
you can't fear
failure.
losing and failure, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and I think that the only way that you can actually accomplish that is through preparation, just like we spoke before. It's like it's working in the dark in order for you to shine later, right? So it's like
Yeah.
work hard and let your success speak for
Yep.
itself, right? Yeah, so I'm huge on that. So that's why I'm kind of like against ego. I even have a book. It's called "Ego is the Enemy," and
It
and
is.
it touches a lot on that because like I think that we get in the way of ourselves a lot, right? So, for example, I think that again, it's all about ego in a sense where you're worried about what people think of you,
Mhm.
and
And
especially
that's what
now
it
with
is nowadays, yeah.
social media and everything. It's just the way that you portray yourself. So if you portray yourself being successful, then maybe that's enough for you, right? And
Mhm.
it all comes down to like what makes you happy. So the guy that leases the BMW, if that makes him happy, I'm all for it,
Yeah.
right? Because like everybody has their own concept of success. Everybody has their own perception of what it is to be successful, of what
But
it
that
is to
guy
be
also has to realize
that won't last.
that won't
That's
last if
temporary.
someone could take it away, yeah.
That's temporary.
I
Yep.
feel like happiness is what you make out of every single thing that comes into your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Happiness, it comes and goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can always be happy.
With the things that you have at the moment.
Yeah, if you're truly humble, you can always be happy because you can be grateful for everything. So happiness is at the end of the day, happiness is being grateful for what you have
Yep.
and realizing that everything can be taken away and that you got to start all over.
Yep. Because then you learn how to see value in literally everything around you, right? Because you're not vacant inside, so you're not searching for things to fulfill you. So you're already fulfilled. So you walk around about your day and you just stare up to the sky and you're like, "Oh shit, like today the sun's out or the sun's shining a little bit brighter." And that makes you happy. Like you're grateful for that
Yep.
because you're not concentrated on, on just making people accept you. And another thing that I really find interesting that I want to get your opinion on is like, have you noticed that if you get, for example, let's get Drake,
Okay.
the rapper, right? Let's get Drake. He has his entourage. He has
Mhm.
his, select group of people that he keeps around him constantly, his friends. If you Google Drake's entourage or Drake's crew, you'll see various different pictures, and there'll be certain faces that are relevant throughout all the pictures that are always there, right? Certain people that are always with him. One thing that I've been analyzing recently is like, I think that's a bad thing in a sense where it's bad for the person that's with Drake all the time. Because I think that the easiest way for you to achieve success is to attach yourself to a successful person.
Mhm.
So that person, let's just call him Bob or Billy.
Okay.
Let's say that's Billy because of DJ Khaled. It's Billy. Um, yeah, so Billy is Drake's best friend. Billy's ambitions are suppressed, or he forgets about any, like, he has zero ambitions because he's living the lifestyle of what success brings.
Yeah.
He's constantly at Drake's house. He's constantly on jets. He's constantly traveling to Drake's islands or whatever. He's constantly hooking up with attractive women because of his connections. And so, in my opinion, that's bad because you kind of forget, like, you can't be ambitious in that
Yeah,
position.
and I really like that topic because it's like I said before, if I'm really successful, I'm not at the end of the day, I'm not really successful if my friends aren't successful, and their success is what they really want to do. So let's say I'm in my position where I'm really successful, and my friend is feeding off my success. I'm never gonna let that happen because I want him
Because you
to
want to
be
motivate
in
him
his
to create
own
his
way.
own stuff.
Because what if one day I'm not there, or one day something happens and
And you go bankrupt.
exactly, and I
And
go
all of your
bankrupt.
success goes away.
Yeah, and I didn't invest my time into other people that can make me better, and I can make other people better. So
Yep,
if I'm
yep,
if
yep,
I'm
yep.
gonna invest my time and my energy on my friends, it's to better them, but I'm also gonna be bettering myself at the end of the day.
Of course, of course, of
Like,
course.
you know what I mean? Like someone told me, like a father who didn't teach their son how to live without them wasn't really a good father. You know what I mean? So if you don't teach your son
For real,
how to
yeah.
live without you, you didn't accomplish your goal as a
As a
father.
father, as a guy.
So if you don't accomplish your goal as a successful person, and by making others strive
Successful.
and successful, you never accomplish your real mission. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
I feel like everything has to be everything has to be a team, and you're
Yeah.
only as strong as your weakest link. You know what I mean? So if one of
That's
my
100%
friends,
true.
if one of my friends, he's in a bad position, or he's only riding with me because I'm successful, I'm gonna divert him into being his successful, and I'm gonna ride with him. You know what I mean? So we can ride together. So that's how I look at it.
I agree 100%. And like, I want to get to a position where I'm able to do just that. It's like to a position where you're able to help those that you truly care about achieve their maximum potential. And that's one of the reasons why I'm just passionate about this whole fitness idea, because like that's basically it. It's like you're motivating and helping people transform their lives, like small things every day. Like you'll see that overweight woman walk into the front door, and she'll be intimidated by everything. She'll be looking around. She'll be kind of hesitant. You know, like it took her a lot of courage to walk through those doors in the first place. And then when she walks in and she sees everybody in shape, and she starts doubting herself and all that stuff. So you being able to just pick that person and just pull that person aside and tell him or her how much, like, just motivate them to be the best person they can. And that's something that I want to be remembered for inspiring and motivating others, right?
And
Like
yeah.
that's my end goal in
And
life in general.
I really want that. I mean, this is not my podcast, it's your podcast, but I really want my episode to be about I wanted it to really be about how do you define your happiness? What makes you really happy? And if something makes you happy that could be taken away, you can't
You're not
depend on that.
truly happy.
You're never gonna be truly happy. So what I want other people to really take
Stare-
away.
Stare into that camera and just ask people a question. Like ask them what you want them to think about when it comes to happiness.
When it comes to happiness, I want you to realize that it could be taken away. You know what I mean? You can never depend your happiness on a certain person or a certain thing. So you have to invest your happiness in multiple things, because if one thing goes wrong, you got to switch up to the other, and you got to adjust that. So you can get that happiness back, but you got to realize that it could be taken away. So that's what I really want people to get out of this podcast is that you got to work for what you want. That's one, but whatever you want, it could be taken away from you. So you got to work even harder to get it back.
So I'll just add on to that question. Just ask yourself what value you have to contribute to the world. Because if you're just going about the world, like I think that people need to like figure out and understand that your value is predicated on what you bring to others. Sorry. So, for example, just like I told you before, today, like the second most motivational thing, the first one being the fact that the owner of Retro Fitness told me that I couldn't do shit, right? The second most motivational thing was the owner of Impact Zone. Like I posted, pictures on my Instagram of the whole experience and stuff because I'm trying to build my personal brand, and he shared my posts on Facebook and said that he's happy to see people that are
excited.
and
that's what it is. I'm really
enthusiastic. He's
really
happy to see people trying to be their best. He's happy to see people attempting new things. Dude, I'm going into his own industry. Like, I'm going into the same industry. Instead of seeing me as a competitor, instead of like trying to like shed like hate and stuff, just like the guy from fucking Red Show did, he did the complete opposite. Like dude, he gave me business tips. He gave me fitness tips. He gave me, mentorship. And that's something that I think that we'll take away from this podcast. We're currently at 2 hours and a half.
Wow.
2.5 hours. And we'll just end this right here with that question that Rodrigo just asked you guys. Yeah. What defines your happiness?
And really, what defines your happiness, and what are you willing to do when it goes away?
Yes.
So that's what I really want to end this podcast with. What are you willing to do if your happiness goes away?
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine.
This podcast, there's a lot of fucking golden nuggets here. And I'll go through all the footage.
I can't wait for the highlights. Yep.
And I'll create highlights. And to all the people that went live, you guys were a part of this.
Thank you, guys.
And
honestly.
fist bump. That's it. All right, guys. We're out.
I'm an icon, man. I'm a girl about a 10. I should fuck her in the Benz.